Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Innovation Spotlight podcast. Today, I would like to welcome our founder and COO, Filip Kirschner here. Hi, Filip.
Hi, Jakub. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. And we will talk about how to use AI in your companies, basically, and how to actually start with AI. This episode is part of AI series we started last time with Raja Kalenda, another co-founder of Applifting. And we were talking about basically the impact of AI on our society. So everyone feel free to listen also to that episode. But I would like to start basically with the same question with you, Filip. What do you think about AI and what's your opinion how it's going to change the world we live in?
Okay, so the question is like, what was the AI, right? Because AI has been here for a while now, and if we take like the most primitive AIs, which were here like 40 years ago, it's basically any computer program that can make decisions, and like the easiest one would be one that computer program which, for example, you give it the temperatures of the day, it can tell you if it's a summer day or if it's a winter day. So and this is called classifier, and that's like really simple case of an AI. But AI can solve many more things. It can do vision, it can do basically hearing and speech, and it can do planning, and also it can, for example, do translations. And as you can see, like these are AIs which are like highly specialized, and like each one of those is good for one thing and one thing only. And what's all the hype right now is the large language models, the generative pre-trained transformers, or GPTs, and those are kind of different kinds of AI. And what's going on right now in the AI world is that people found that these large language models are quite capable in terms we've never seen before, and that they are not just good for one thing, but they are good for many things. So it's one tool that you can use for many purposes, and at least some of them are quite suitable for company use. So this is something which I see coming, and everybody sees this coming, actually. And this will be big. And if you are asking me like what's the future and where's this coming to, so I think that in more and more areas in life we'll see that the AI can be applied there, and especially as it gets cheaper, it will get everywhere. And what's important, and I believe that Raj already has mentioned this on the previous podcast, or I definitely hope so, but we shouldn't view AI as an adversary, which is trying to take our jobs, but instead we should view it as a tool, because it is a tool, and those who will learn how to use the tool, those will be the people who will definitely be still worth something on the job markets, and those are people who will actually be more successful than they are right now.
Mm-hmm. So basically the biggest difference between AI before and now is accessibility, that everyone can use it now, basically.
I'd say that the key difference right now is that AI is right now capable of solving more things than it did, let's say 2 years ago. And that's because of the emergence of those larger language model, which are not suitable just for one thing, and you don't have to have a specific AI to solve one issue, but you can use the general AI, or like the large language model, to apply it on your specific task. So that would be the difference. And yes, like the huge advent of AI was, of course, the introduction of ChatGPT. But ChatGPT is basically just an interface where people can try out how the GPT works, and how they can talk to it. And even in OpenAI, in the company which made ChatGPT, they definitely did not expect such traction. They were just making a PR stunt to make a chatbot which is a bit more advanced than other chatbots on the market, and yeah, everyone knows what happened next. So that's history.
And what's so far your experience with AI, and how did you implement it into your daily job, basically?
Okay, so I use AI quite a lot. I don't use ChatGPT. We instead have our internal interface for ChatGPT at Applifting, and that's because of security and privacy concerns. And I use it every day, and I use it like in to help me work, to make my work more effective. I use it when we are integrating it into our clients' solutions, and that's not just the ChatGPT, but also other tools. And I also use it in my private life. So I would say these are three areas in my life which it affects.
Do you use it just like Raja said, that he's kind of like using it to brainstorm and to get some quick feedback on his ideas?
Oh yeah, that's definitely one thing I use it for, because it's very, very nice that it can basically criticize your ideas. So each time I'm solving a problem, I mostly know how I would solve it, because most people are used to solving problems. But if I tell the GPT that this is the way how I would solve the problem, so criticize this and give me some options, it will always suggest something helpful. And even though I can't always take one of those feedbacks and just put it into action, it just makes you think of something different than what you've thought of before, because it's got really great in divergent thinking, and because people are not really good at thinking about if I tell you like tell me 10 words which do not have anything to do with each other, you'll have a really hard time doing that. And that's because people's brains aren't made like this. And ChatGPT is really good at this. So that's, of course, one thing I use it for. But the other is, more than not, I use it to basically change forms of stuff. So if I have, for example, one text which is too corporate-y, I can give it a sample of my writing, and it can transfer that to how I would say it. Or if I have some more complicated document, be it a terms of cooperation or something, what I would do usually would be to send it to lawyers to point out if there are any problems. But I can give it to GPT instead, and it can give me like really fast feedback if there's something like principally wrong with it. Of course, I can't skip it, as I can't skip lawyers entirely. So that's a problem, but we'll see how that goes in the future.
Yeah. Okay. I have one more question about the future, but I think I will leave it for the end of the podcast. I would like to now dedicate this podcast to companies and talk more about how, or some practical advice, how can companies implement AI into their products or services. So what are the key considerations for companies when our founders and managers, when they are deciding on integrating AI?
Right. So if they want to integrate AI, they possibly have some solution in mind already. And in that case, they definitely have to first see if the AI can actually solve the problem, because sometimes the problems are just made up and they don't really exist. And we are not solving the real issues, but just something we see. So that's something they need to figure out first, and then figure out if it's technically plausible to do it. And right now, what I think is important is that they need to figure out how much will it cost to use AI this way. Because right now, the usage of AI is kind of more on the expensive side. And still, if I had a human who would solve those tasks, it might be cheaper to do it. But this is something which I expect to change. And I expect it to change quite rapidly. because with the recent developments we see, the progress is definitely getting faster and faster, and that would mean that the usage of AI will be cheaper and cheaper, and I see the future where we don't treat cognition as something which is highly specialized, but it's a commodity, and where you would buy like AI services basically similar way how you buy electricity right now. You take the cheapest provider and do it with them because they're the cheapest provider.
Yeah. And how can companies and founders basically maybe, because you mentioned that they need a problem, they need to solve a problem with AI first. So how can they identify the problem, or how can figure out if the solution of AI is suitable for resolving this problem? Because this is quite difficult to get.
Right. If you do not know if AI is something that can help you, I would have a short exercise for you. Think about the product you have and the company you have, and think about all the actors that are interacting with this product. Let's say the customers, of course. Then there are your employees, be it, for example, the developers or the people from the customer support, and take each of these personas and think about if there's something they do which takes either a lot of time or is something boring which they don't like to do, or if it's perhaps something that they just don't do well enough. And if these are the case, then I'd say that the current state of AI is that perhaps it can be solved with AI, and you can have a part of the system which will do these boring, repetitive tasks, or just tasks which would take time if clients would do them.
Should companies think about how to exchange people for AI, or how to implement AI into people's jobs?
Well, that's a great question, isn't it? I think that most companies would like to see like AI instead of people, but I think that the current AI definitely isn't there, and at least for a while it won't be there. And if you would use AI for a highly specialized job, such as, I don't know, like strategic management of something, then it might cost you even more money than the person itself. So it's not something I would do. And right now, I just see that the AI is an amazing tool, and companies should treat it as such. So yes, if you are leading a company which doesn't use AI, where people don't use AI, definitely research it and find out what it can do. There are millions not millions. There are many workshops you can attend. There are many people who talk about it. I'm happy to talk about that. And it's just about finding out what it does well, what it doesn't do well, and then teach this to your employees and give them the tools they need to work with it, and they will enjoy their work much more. And I think that's something which is important, and it brings profit to the company when people enjoy working there, and when people can do their work efficiently.
Yeah, so if I connect it, like find a place where your employees are inefficient or have a boring job, and use AI as a tool to kind of substitute this boring part of the job or inefficient part of the job, so people can focus more on bringing more value.
Yeah, I'd say boring, inefficient, or there are even areas where AI is much more capable than people. So these three areas are definitely something which you should look out for. Or basically the fourth area, that's if something takes a long time. For example, if you are, I don't know, doing invoices by hand, that's something which can be definitely automated, and the automated tools for things like this have been on the market for a while.
Mhm. And are there any differences between startups, scale-ups, bigger companies, corporations, how they should kind of think about AI? Or is it basically the same?
Another great question. Well, companies need to be more careful.
This question was
definitely.
not written by AI, just to mention.
The corporates and larger companies should definitely be more wary of AI, because if they use AI too wildly, it may negatively affect their image if something goes south. And they can basically overcome this in two ways. They can either start minimal with just some slight changes and find out how it can help, and be really thorough with the analysis and with the risk estimation. Or the other approach I see is that they can create basically a new brand, which will be connected to the AI products, and they can spin it off as a startup, and basically then it won't have any impact on their image and on their brand. On the other hand, the smaller companies and startups, they definitely need to leverage AI in their products, and they need to do it now or as soon as possible, because their competition is doing it, and the market is moving really, really fast. And if I would be just talking about ChatGPT, I use ChatGPT enough to view it basically as an extension of my brain. And if the ChatGPT stopped working tomorrow, I think I would be really sad about that. And I would be really sad about the inefficiency of my work. So if your competition has, for example, a AI-enabled product, then customers can feel the same way about that. And then you'll basically never get them on your product.
Mm-hmm. So it's crucial to be fast in that?
I'd say right now, yes, it is, and because everyone else is doing it, yeah. So right now it's crucial to be fast about AI integration, but you shouldn't be reckless.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you should always be certain what you are doing, how you are doing it, and there are many implications the use of AI has.
So starting with AI, when we already have a problem defined and we know what we want to implement, are there any common challenges or obstacles that basically company founders, managers face while implementing AI or in their first steps?
Right. So I'd say that if we are talking about implementing an AI and not just like enabling people in a company to use the AI, I'd say that the first issue definitely is if the AI is the right tool for the problem, which I mentioned earlier, how to see if that's the case. Then the second thing is the technical feasibility. You have to be at least somehow skilled technically, and at least have some overview of what's going on in the AI world to be able to solve the problems efficiently. Like, I'd say that most issues companies are facing are not directly solvable by the current large language models, but you can extend those models. You can give the models tools. You can give the models huge contexts. Because right now, if you put an 8-page document into ChatGPT, it's kind of okay. If you put a 40-page document, you are not able to do so. And that's the issue. Like, you have to overcome the problems that are right now there, and you have to have at least some overview of what's going on in the AI world. So that would be the first thing you need to overcome on the way to implementing AI. Second one would be, of course, to make all the considerations regarding the privacy and regarding legal stuff. If you want, we can talk about that later on. And Then there are, of course, the costs I mentioned earlier. Yeah, and I'd say that's it.
So is it basically that it's not about only implementing AI or language models into your already like functioning product, but maybe you will also probably need to develop a tool that AI would use to so that your product is better for your customers.
Well, kind of. The AI. Well, if I integrated AI into a product, which I do on most projects, how I would approach it is to basically black box the AI solution and to make it independent on the system, and just integrate the system through an let's say API with that black box, so you can when the situation changes and AI evolves, you can basically just rework the AI system and have still the rest of the system in place without any significant impacts on it. And yeah, that's one of the right approaches, I'd say.
What kind of people do you need around you to implement AI? What roles? What's the team you need?
Right. So first, you definitely need to have someone who understands the domain of the problem, which is most probably you as the founder or you as the person responsible for the project. But you also have to have someone who is knowledgeable about the product that you have, because each product has kind of a different personality, and you have to always tailor the AI to match the product's personality. For example, if you had a recommendation engine, you would want the recommendation engine to behave differently on a platform for professionals and on a platform which is a chat for people. So yeah, you definitely have to have someone who knows the product. And then from the technical roles, you definitely need at least some backend developers who are capable of doing the hard stuff. You need to have some AI expert who is knowledgeable in what can be done with the current AI, or who can basically improve what's already on the market. It would be great to have at least someone who has at least some data capability and in data analysis. And that's because what AI really relies on is the input and the stability of the input. So you have to make sure that the data you will be feeding to the AI is of the highest quality. And then you need to definitely have someone who is responsible for the UX of the whole thing, which is something similar to the product, but the user experience is much more than that. And it's also about how people will interact with it, not just the personality of it.
Do you think that many companies have all these roles inside? Or how can basically they use software houses to help them? Not only Applifting, but basically any general software house.
Right. I think that what software houses are great at is augmenting current teams. So if you are missing a role, we can most possibly help with that, or software house can definitely help with that. But also if you just need to launch this project as soon as possible and you don't have the resources, the software house can more than not create the whole team for you. And most software houses right now have definitely the UX capability and the development capability, and it's and what we are trying really hard in Applifting for the past few years is to build not just the technical capability in terms of AI experts and data experts, but also the product people who can basically make sure that the product will be successful with the AI.
Okay. And do you also somehow assist founders or manager and kind of copilot them or the technical directors, or do you also influence kind of like business way?
Right. So what I like to do is I really like to talk about AI with people, and I usually go to events, and I when I network, I talk about like what problems are those people solving, and I sometimes suggest that maybe this can be like solved using AI. So this is something I like to do personally, but if you are looking for a structured way, Vracha, who you had here on the previous podcast, is together with two more CEOs doing a special kind of workshop, which is aimed especially at business and especially at, let's say, board level people and C-level people who need to align on the use of AI. So it's kind of an AI workshop, but not just about, hey, let's try to use ChatGPT. It's more about like what AI is, what are the impacts on business, what are the current opportunities, and then it heavily focuses on how AI can help the particular company. And it's a brainstorming together with the people who are responsible in the company for making sure that it evolves. And one great thing is that the result of such workshop is always at least a few ideas of how the company can integrate AI into their company. Another thing is that those ideas are verified by the technologists who are part of the workshop, so they're viable and not just a guess of what can be successful. And the third, and I think maybe the largest benefit, is that the people involved in the workshop are aligned on what they want. So it's not just that one person has clear idea of what they want from AI, but everyone on the workshop knows that this is the right approach and they are on the same page.
Mm-hmm. So this workshop is kind of like step one in thinking about integrating AI.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you need to align the board or the founders or let's say the C-level on the use of AI in the company, yeah, that definitely this is the way.
You already worked on several AI projects here at Applifting for several clients. Yeah. Can you somehow describe the case? You don't need to mention specifically the companies, but what AI was used basically in the real world so far?
Okay, so one of the first projects Applifting had was actually AI heavy, and it was a startup in which we created together with a large telecommunication operator. And what it did was it took the data from the communication network, and from that data, it made assessments on where in the city it's the best possible spot for parking, and where the crappiest spot for parking. And this was a really nice project, and it first started as just an idea in the customer's team, and we helped them to expand this into a startup which worked for several cities and governments.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really nice project, and
it was before ChatGPT and OpenAI.
Oh yeah, this was like 2016, I'd say.
Okay.
And over the years, we worked on many different kinds of AI, and as I said in the start of the discussion we had, there are many different types of AI. So on several projects we used the computer vision, and in some we used, for example, speech recognition. But right now, what we like to use is, of course, the generative text models, because those are really capable. And what we use that for is, for example, we helped one startup to automate integration of APIs into their ecosystem. And what before took several hours of programmers' time, now it could be done in like 5 minutes or even less. And another case would be, for example, a recommendation engine we made for the people who like wines. And this was a mobile app which has the main point of the app is, of course, to generate traffic for the company who sells those wines. And this is really nice app, and that's basically one of the very nice examples of how the AI should have different personality if you use it, for example, for parking prediction, or if you use it for wine recommendation, right? Because it has to have completely different personality.
So you can add some personality to the AI. It doesn't have to be only like robot.
Oh,
it can be cool.
Yeah, if we are talking about like how the AI works, then definitely this would be like something which you need to customize. But not just that. What I meant by personality is also like the level of creativity it has to have. Like if you need parking prediction, you don't want it to be creative at all. You just want the most precise data you can get. But if you want, for example, it to invent a new recipe for a drink, you definitely need creativity there. So yeah, that would be the major difference.
And how do you do that? How do you make AI creative?
Well, if you want a simple recipe, the easiest way is that you can play around with it even in the ChatGPT. You can go to ChatGPT Playground, which is a site published by OpenAI, and there you can basically use the ChatGPT as you would use it normally, or you can use just the text completion. But there is one interesting parameter, and that's temperature. And the temperature is something between like 0 and 1. And if you put the temperature at 0, it just gives you the most probable answer and the most probable prediction of what comes next, what message is next. And then you can have, then what it means is basically you have a stable AI which always outputs the same thing, or like almost the same thing, depends. And if you put the temperature close to 1, you get wilder completions. And you have to fine tune this, of course, a bit, and you have to play around with it, and you need to make the AI at least some kind of secure, because if we are talking about the for example, the wine recommendation, if you have a wine pairing and the user inputs, I want a wine pairing for a red car, you definitely don't want to just go with it and say like, oh, for red car, I would recommend Merlot or perhaps Cabernet Sauvignon, because that doesn't make sense, of course. So you, of course, need to make the AI secure, and you don't want the customers to be able to exploit it, although sometimes it's fun. So, yeah.
So AI doesn't have to be always serious. It can be fun as well.
Oh, yeah, of course. I'd say that the creativity of the AI is the most fun aspect of it. And I'd say that playing around with the AI in your product is something that many users do. And they are trying to exploit it in ways that they are trying to make it say something not nice, or they are trying to make it say something funny or something. And actually, this kind of engagement with the users is something that's very nice to have. And I think that's important to have this interaction with your customers.
Great. How can companies, in the end, when they implement AI, when everything is done and they start using it, how can kind of measure the success of it? And how should they measure the success of it? Should they measure the costs, savings, or anything else?
That really depends on what is the aim for the use case. Sometimes you use AI to save resources, and then it's really easy to do so because you just like measure how much you spend on those resources before you use AI, and then you see how much you spend on those resources after you start using it. But I'd say that if you are using AI internally in the company, one way would be definitely to do some surveys. And that's a great way how to find out how people are using it, if they are using it, and if it makes them happy. Of course, if you don't ask about the AI, you will get more concrete results, because if you are asking people about AI, then most of the time is happy. And if you are talking about integration into a product, then it really depends on what you are trying to achieve. Like if you are, for example, trying to have a better product for the customer to be more enjoyable, you can definitely see how much other people using the AI functionality, and you can or you should have a feedback system there to see, like, is this a good solution to the problem? Is this a bad solution to the problem? And if customers are massively saying like they are happy about the solutions that AI provides, perfect. If they are most of the time saying like, but this is not what I wanted, then you definitely need to revisit it.
And do you also need to kind of think about maintenance of AI in your product in the long term? Like when you finish the product, but it needs some maintenance in the end, right? You still need someone who's taking care of it, that it works, that it's functional. And do you need someone special for that, or basically any Meteor plus developer could do that?
Well, AI is a technological product, so you of course need someone who will take care of that technological product. So the best possible way is to train some developers who already work on the project with it, and so they can see like how it works, why it works that way, and so they can interact with it and perhaps even debug if there are any issues. What's more important, and that's investment which is really worthwhile, as many startupists know, is that you need to measure it. So you need to measure if it works, and you need to have some kind of reporting that it works. And if it isn't, then you need to solve it. And auto maintenance, I would strongly encourage to at least from time to time revisit if there were any major breakthroughs on the field of AI or in the field of science generally, and if you can improve the AI components you are using, or if you can perhaps even extend them to more aspects of your product.
This was actually the next question. Like, what are the potential risks or problems with AI you can face?
Okay, potential risks. Well, I'd say that there are like three major risks associated quite often with AI. One of them is reputational risk, which most often is tied to that AI isn't human, and you definitely shouldn't pretend that AI is human. And if you pretend that AI is human, you will have some reputational problems, presumably sooner or later, because it can be detected. And so this is definitely one. For example, there was a mass shooting a few months back in America, in one of the universities in some northern state. And one of other universities in that area published a email for their students that they are sad about
condolences.
Yeah, basically that. But they signed the letter that was like generated with using ChatGPT, and there was like a huge backlash of public opinions that they shouldn't be using ChatGPT for such endeavors. I cannot agree with that. I'd say that ChatGPT is a tool, and if you are using, I don't know, Grammarly, it's somehow similar to that, so it shouldn't be frowned upon. But there definitely is the risk of if you are not either transparent, or if you are transparent in the case where
It's sensitive.
Where you shouldn't use AI, then it can have backlash. Then the other risk associated with AI is the privacy, because if you are talking especially about the OpenAI, which is quite clear on its privacy, is that if you are using the ChatGPT, the interface like chat.openai.com, then everything you write there will or can be used for training of the network. And that's even if you have the pro version.
Mhm.
And that's kind of problematic because if you train network on some data, there is really, really slight but possible risk that that data may leak. So if you, for example, say to the ChatGPT, like, I have a company, Applifting, and I want to, and here is a list of my employees, and I want you to order those employees according to their last names. It will do the thing. But then if they use that data for training, there's like non-zero chance that if someone then requests for, I would like a example list of employees, that it might return some names which are real, and that's an issue. If you use, on the other hand, the API, so the programmatic access to OpenAI and to GPT, they kind of guarantee that, like, there is a guarantee that they are not using the data, and the data is ephemeral, and you are not, they are not training on it.
Mm-hmm.
But as it goes with like all internet systems, like the golden rule of the internet is if you don't want something public, don't put it on the internet. And the alternatives for that would be that you can take a different kind of GPT, like open source GPTs, and you can have that on your own hardware, on your own server. It can be even virtualized. And then you have at least some kind of safety, because then you have it under control and you know how it works, and you know that the data isn't leaking anywhere. And the third concern is the legal concern. And that's kind of complicated topic, because there are many legal concerns. For example, one of the more complicated ones is the who is the owner of the results? Like if ChatGPT tells you something, like who owns that?
Mm-hmm.
Who has the intellectual property on that? So right now, the lawyers I talked to are saying that if you own the input, you own the output. So basically, in a more simplified manner, means if you don't use copyrighted material as the query for the ChatGPT, you can treat the output as your own. But of course, there are complications with that. And yeah, I'd say that's like the major legal risk. European Union is kind of in process of inventing legislation for that, and they have already a draft, and I'm quite optimistic about it. It seems it has some like reasonable parts, but I think that regulation is kind of a complicated subject, and it always has been a complicated subject. And the largest issue with it is that like, if there will be a race between regulation and technology always wins.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
You mentioned many problems, or not that many, but as I see that every problem that AI can bring you have a solution for that, but you just need someone to kind of tell you what's the problem and how to figure out the way.
Yeah, I wouldn't go so far to say that AI has the solution to all problems.
I mean the risks of AI.
Oh yeah,
for the risks.
Like, yes, we are using AI with our customers. So of course, like each risk there is, we need to know about it, and we need to be able to resolve it. So Yes, there are risks. Most risks can be solved, and some risks are in a like vague state of solution non-solution. And for example, that's the uh, like who has the intellectual property rights of the outputs, because we don't have any legislative word on that, because I don't think that anybody has been sued over that yet, so we don't have any precedents, and yeah, we'll I'll guess we will have to wait and see.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any last words or recommendations or tips for companies thinking about implementing AI or starting implementing AI?
Well, the last word would be do implement do implement AI, because it's definitely something that can help you. It's something that can have a major impact on the kind of business you do. If your competition is not using AI yet, it can give you a huge edge. And if the competition is using AI, you definitely need it, because otherwise they'll have like some serious advantages over you. And yeah, I'd say think outside of the box. Let AI help you think outside of the box, and think about some creative solutions, how AI can help you, and then give me a call, and I'll I'll help think about that a bit more and tell you what's possible and what's not. Yeah,
For sure, do call Filip. He's the best in AI here. And one more question I had for the end. Let's make some prophecy. What's the future of AI?
so what is the future of AI? I had this talk about AI in like I'd say 2 months ago on Czech Technical University, and there was a question like, where does this all lead? And I see 3 options, and I can even give you like my personal estimations on the
Is any of them
probabilities.
catastrophical?
Well, of course. But let's start with the nice ones. So the first thing is the AI won't get significantly more capable than it is right now. And we as a society will be able to find the let's say consensus on how to use AI in an ethical way, because that's something which is really, really important. And then I think that not much will change from the situation we are right now in. So AI and what happened in the recent year is huge. It's like when internet came, and it's a change that already happened. So I don't need to make any prophecies about that. But this is something which is here to stay, and we can basically like use it as best as we can as a society, and that's a very nice thing that can happen. I'd say this has like 25% of probability of happening.
Okay.
Eventually, AI will get more capable. And the two scenarios that remain are dependent on only one thing, and that's how well we as humanity will be able to align with it, to be able to how we will be able to find not just tell the AI what humans' values are, but more importantly, we will decide what humans' values are. Because I don't think that right now, if you have like 3 completely different people in the room, then you have 3 at least ideas of what human values are, and they will be not compatible at all. So we need to figure this among ourselves. Then we need to be able to tell the AI. And when we do this, and if we are successful in doing this, yeah, I think we are heading to a true utopia to where everybody is happy doing work they love, and where they can spend time doing what they like to do, where jobs are fulfilling, and like, all jobs are fulfilling, where people are happy, and if they are not happy, if something happens, they get the care they need. And I give this also 25%. Well, and there's a third possibility, and the third possibility is that eventually the capabilities get significantly more, significantly higher, and we won't be able to find alignment, and we won't be able to tell the AI what we want her to do, or what we want it to do, and that wouldn't go so well as utopia. Let's focus on the alignment.
Yeah, let's focus on that. With this positive news. Thank you very much, Filip, for your time and being here and sharing all your knowledge about AI with me and our listeners.
I'm so glad I could be here. Thank you very much for having me here, and thanks for all the nice questions.
And thank you everyone who listened to it and watched our podcast, and see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.